Well, Vulture has an article in conversation, Quincy Jones. And in this article, Quincy Jones talks about so many things. So I'll give you some cliff notes right now. He talked about Michael Jackson. He said Michael stole a lot of stuff. He stole a lot of songs. He talked about Donna Summer's State of Independence and Billie Jean. The notes don't lie. He was as Machiavellian as they come. And he said it was because Michael Jackson was greedy. He said Michael should have given 10% of the song Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, but he wouldn't do it. And then outside of music, he said Michael Jackson, I used to kill him about the plastic surgery. He'd always justify it and say it was because of some disease he had, BS. He had a problem with his looks because his father told him he was ugly and abused him. He also talked about all the allegations about people like Bill Cosby, and with Bill Cosby being a friend of his, how do you feel about that? And he said it was all of them, Brett Ratner, Harvey Weinstein, he's a jive MFer. Wouldn't return my 5 calls. He called him a bully. And then he wouldn't say much about Bill Cosby. He said, we can't talk about this in public.
That makes me wonder how bad was Bill Cosby? Because think about how Quincy Jones was just letting that clip fly.
Talking to everybody about
Bill Cosby, like, nope, can't talk about that in public.
But that's my guy. That's
Jesus
his guy.
Christ.
That's his guy.
There's a lot of his guys that he spoke about in the interview. Michael Jackson was his guy, too. So
Michael Jackson's dead.
So, Bill Cosby dead?
No, he's not.
99%.
Now, the interviewer, David Marchese, also asked him about one thing that he would fix. If he could fix one problem in the country, what would it be? He said racism. I've been watching it a long time, the 30s to now. He said we've come a long way, but we've got a long way to go. The South has always been effed up, but you know where you stand. The racism in the North is disguised. You never know where you stand. And now he goes on to talk about going out with Ivanka Trump. He said his daughter Kadada hooked it up. And he said, she's a fine MFer. She had the most beautiful legs I ever saw in my life. Wrong father, though. And he goes on to talk about Donald Trump.
Keep in mind, Quincy Jones was 70-something years old and Ivanka was 25 when that allegedly happened.
Now, a lot of people were also talking about what he said about Marlon Brando. He said that Marlon Brando was the most charming MFer you ever met. He'd F anything. He'd F a mailbox. James Baldwin, Richard Pryor, Marvin Gaye. And then David Marchese asked him, come on, man, he did not... He said he slept with them. How do you know that? He said, come on, man, he did not give a F. So
I don't give a damn that Marlon Brando allegedly had sex with Richard Pryor, Marvin Gaye, and James Baldwin, but I am very interested in the story of Marlon Brando having sex with a mailbox. I want to know whose mailbox was it and why.
I don't think he was being literal. But Jennifer Pryor, who was Richard Pryor's widow, did say it was the 70s. Drugs were still good, especially Quaaludes. If you did enough cocaine, you'd F a radiator and send it flowers in the morning. And she said her late husband was very open with friends about his bisexuality and documented his exploits in his diaries. And she does plan to publish those diaries later on this year.
Quincy Jones also said he stopped drinking 2 years ago. Can you imagine if he still drank?
My goodness.
How loose his lips would be? An old black person on that cognac is undefeated. You hear me?